Hello, every creature in existence. This is just a taste review of Firegirl Hack and Splash Rescue, where we take a look at the first few hours of gameplay for a small taste at what it has to offer with as little story spoilers as possible. Now, in this review specifically, well, there was an issue. I ended up having to use the wrong audio settings, reinstalling my software, and unfortunately I combined my gameplay and recorded audio. This means that my normal style reviewing is not going to work in this situation. You won't be able to hear me. The gameplay is turned up max. Even with my volume turned up max, you're just not going to be able to hear my voice. It's barely audible. So it just would not come out great. So I apologize. I won't be able to do the normal style of my review. However, I will jump straight to the review portion of this video where I'm going to go over my thoughts on the game after the first few hours of it. I do want to apologize to Dejima Games. I hope I pronounced that right. Who have been ultra responsive to their player base on Twitter and on Steam, but I did play a few hours and for my thoughts. I really adore the art style chosen here. The fire animations, arguably the most important part of this game, are gorgeous. I didn't see any glaring issues aside from when light cuts out during train missions, but that's not very often. It makes it a little difficult hopping from track to track, but as far as enemies goes, well, they're flaming enemies, and flaming enemies cannot hide in the dark. The animation of the NPCs are simple and clean. Utada Hikaru will be proud. But overall, very well done. Everything looks great. I love the art style and no glaring issues that I can point out. In any roguelike game, the music is one of the most important elements because you're going to be listening to this soundtrack over and over again during each and every run. In Firegirl, the music is upbeat and overall pretty enjoyable. There are no vocal tracks that I encountered, and each level type has its own unique soundtrack. However, I will say that if you get stuck repeating the first level type for that first hour or two, which is the burning buildings early on due to lack of upgrades, you may wish for more variety in the background other than hearing the same tune over and over again. However, once you start unlocking the other levels / stages, I believe it is more manageable. This is where things get a little interesting. The gameplay of Firegirl is simple yet still challenging in both unique and frustrating ways. I once again want to point out how active the devs are with feedback, so any of this could have changed by the time you play it. During each run, you have a fire hose that shoots pressurized water as long as you have water in your tank. If you run out, you'll only spray a short, spread out mist-like water. This can be upgraded in the game, however, to improve your fire hose with things like bigger tanks, higher water pressure, which will allow you to jump higher and shoot further. You also have your trusty axe to chop down doors, obstacle piles, and even stop enemy projectiles, which is something I didn't realize until later in the game. This is also upgradable along with your fire suit at the next door firefighter store, which strangely almost looks like Bruno Mars is putting on a fashion show. As you play, you will unlock more NPCs as well, both inside and outside the fire station, that will provide you with various upgrades that you can purchase for your character. You will gain money to purchase those things after every run. That money and how much you get is affected by what you did during the run, your fan popularity, and any possible failures. Hospital bills cost money. Now, I am a huge roguelite fan. I do greatly enjoy the procedurally generated stage and varieties of encounters. However, it does feel like some stages are unintendedly meant to fail you due to that same randomness. Like not finding an exit within 3 minutes despite running from room to room as fast as you can, which results in a fail. However, this same randomization that gives me some excitement and something I don't think the devs even intended, and that's random difficulty. While some runs are extremely tough and even impossible, as I mentioned, some are really easy and a breeze to walk through. I even had a stage where I found both survivors in the same area, and then the exit was in the very next area. That was all within 30 seconds of the level beginning. It will be up to the player to determine if this is welcome or not. I can easily see where some dislike the massive change in difficulties, but I do enjoy the variety myself, and is a review of what I think of the game. One major thing I would love to see added is a mini-map. This is mainly because most roguelike games have mini-maps, and it serves to make it easier to navigate each level. If I go in between apartment buildings, I would love to look in the corner and see where the possible rooms are, possible exits, possible hard exits. Hard exits are what I describe as when you go through a door without the option of going back due to spewing hellfire that comes out of it. No way to turn around and go back. Since each mission is time sensitive, about 3 minutes without counting the seconds added per fire demon kill, I believe this would be a welcome addition, at least in my opinion, of course. As I said, I do not want to spoil the story when reviewing games. However, there is indeed a bigger story here than I initially thought. In some roguelikes, there's just a setup in order to give you the reason why you're going to be doing the same run over and over again. However, here it branched off way more than I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to be a simple setup of a Firegirl who is attacking flaming demon looking things, but it blew up more than I expected. However, I do want to point out that the devs did something that I love in every roguelike game that I come across. And that is constant progression. Not just in the gameplay, but the story as well. If you ran 10 levels and you failed every time, you still get rewards at the end. You still constantly are upgrading. But also the story will keep moving as well. The whole demons and the fire thing really does go somewhere, and the characters start to develop after a seemingly weak setup. There's a moment in the story early on where you realize, oh snap, this just got real. Something major takes place, and it's at this point where the story really hooked me, and I was pretty excited to see where it would take place. I definitely think the story has more to offer than what it seems in the first couple hours of the game. As you go further beyond that, you'll see it really does offer quite a bit, and I do think some people will enjoy that. So the final part of this review is more of a list, as well as there were some technical errors I ran into. While the list is on screen, I want to mention for a third time that the devs are very active at hunting down any and all feedback, even implementing changes within hours of said feedback of being posted. When I took a break and came back the next day, I found a particle reticule for mouse and keyboard. That's something that I was going to bring up in this very review, but it had already been fixed and I had to amend my script for this. As a matter of fact, some of the issues I have listed, be it bug or gameplay problem, could have been fixed before this review was even out. They're that damn fast, and I love the attention to the player base. Congrats. Overall, I like to rate games based off how much I enjoyed them and not based on the critical comparisons of other games. And I take these 5 categories into mind while doing so. Firegirl is constantly being updated and improved, and I see a bright future for this game, no pun intended, and even a possible sequel considering where the story goes. I'm confident enough to say I overall enjoyed my time playing Firegirl Hack and Splash, and I would love to check it out down the road to see any improvements that have been made, and maybe even DLC. Only time will tell. Thanks for watching my review of Firegirl Hack and Splash Rescue. You can purchase this game on Steam right now, and as well as consoles in 2022. Thanks for watching, everybody.